Yo, what's going on? Back for another video. Today is going to be such a short video because I'm going to be explaining fair value gaps are one of the easiest and simplest things to understand. Like, they are honestly so easy to understand once you get it. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. It doesn't matter what time frame. All you need is to look at your candles, right? You want to be looking at the wicks. And if you don't know what a wick is, it's the skinny line, right? That's the body. This is the wick. Right here, we have a fair value gap. Why? Because from this wick to this wick, these wicks aren't overlapping, right? So if this wick came all the way down to here and this wick came all the way up to here, it would not be a fair value gap because there's no gap. See how they overlap each other? But if we get rid of it and we see where the actual wick was, this wick ended here, this wick ended here. Therefore, this whole body is a gap. And you can use this to leverage your confluences in the market. For instance, here, it gets tapped into, you get a little reaction off it. It's something that is a really good thing to use in strategies, but it's also one of the easiest things to understand. Let's have a look at another example. They're everywhere. Look, from this to this point, there's a gap. Why? Let's see. This wick and this doesn't have a wick. It doesn't need a wick. As long as the wicks aren't overlapping each other. If this wick came all the way down to here, and this wick went all the way up, they're overlapping each other, right? There's no gap in there. But when we look at what it actually looks like, in this candle closures, there's a gap because the wicks aren't overlapping each other. Let's look at an example where they are overlapping each other and where it's not a fair value gap. Right here. You see? Right here. This wick and this wick, there's no gap in the middle because they're both overlapping each other. But like right here, this candle's overlapping this candle's wick. This wick is overlapping this wick. Therefore, it's not a fair value gap. It is not a fair value gap because this wick closed over this wick and this wick closed over this wick. They're overlapping. There's no gap in the middle of it, right? But there's a gap here. There's a gap in here. Why? Because the wicks aren't overlapping. See, we mark it out. They're not crossing over, are they? These wicks aren't crossing over. So there's a gap in the middle. Look what happens. We tap into it and we get a little reaction off it. You know, start to leverage these. Let's have another look. This is the fair value gap. Why? Tell to yourself. Because this wick and this wick, they're not overlapping each other, right? Unlike here, where this wick, see the line? How this wick closes above this wick? Like they all overlap each other. So it's not a fair value gap. Here, can we see that there's a gap? Yes, there is. It is literally the smallest gap, but it is still a gap because the wicks are not overlapping each other. And that is pretty much going to wrap it up. It is so simple to understand and people just complicate it so much. It is when the wicks of 3 candles, see, 1, 2, and 3, when the wicks are not overlapping each other. You don't have to worry about the middle candle, just the left and the right. This wick and this wick are not overlapping and crossing over each other. Super simple. And if you want me to make a video on how to use these and leverage these in strategies, comment down below. I'll be sure to do that if you guys want me to. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. Make sure to follow up the Instagram, olliestrades_, and make sure to subscribe. Peace.